Meanwhile, the White House saying farewell to Dr. Anthony Fauci. This happened a short time ago at the White House. He stepped up to the podium for the very last time as he is now retiring. There is this moment that came a short time ago. Brian Kilmeade is going to join us on this. This happened a short time ago. It appeared that reporters, before Dr. Anthony departed, had questions about the origins of the coronavirus when pressed. Karine Jean-Pierre had this to say.
And also, you're taking time off the clock because Dr. Fauci has to leave in a couple of minutes. I'm done. I'm not getting into a back and forth with you. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Dr. Fauci,
but she's
only
asking a great question.
You're not being me. Go ahead, Jeremy.
You ask your question, you should allow her to answer the question.
Jeremy.
She's asking a valid question, Dr. Fauci, on the origin of COVID-19.
It is not your turn. It is not your turn.
You can't understand people. That's the thing. You can't read a press briefing. You need to call from people across the room. She has a valid question. She's asking about the origin of COVID-19.
I hear the question.
And Dr. Fauci is the best person to answer.
I hear your question, but we're not doing this the way you want it. This is a disrespectful. It is. I'm done. Simon, I'm done. Simon, I'm done. I'm done with you right now. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. You're taking time away from your colleagues.
Quite a moment there. Fox and Friends co-host, host of One Nation, Brian Kilmeade is here. Brian, your reaction to that?
Unbelievable. You see Anthony Fauci sitting there. He always liked to blame Donald Trump for when things got into chaotic in these situations. But again, he just wanted to go and say farewell, but then take questions. He wanted to take questions, according to the report, and she just shut it down. We're not doing that. And you think the question would be personal or something out of bounds. You know what the question was? Do you have answers to the questions of where this virus came from, the origins of COVID-19? He never wanted to ask that. If you ask that on Twitter or Facebook, you get disabled. You know, it's not up to you. If you brought up, well, isn't the lab an issue? Like Senator Tom Cotton brought up, and the president said, you know what, I agree with Tom Cotton. We're going to stop fights from there. Remember how many times Anthony Fauci's been wrong and how many times he's owned up to it? He's been wrong a lot, and he never owned up to it. The problem is he would change course and never look back and say, I was wrong here. And as Mike Pence wrote in his book, Anthony Fauci is a scientist. And when he was in his lane, he was fine. He had no problem with President Trump that he saw because one was from Brooklyn, one was from Queens. Mm-hmm. The problem was when Anthony Fauci was never meant to head up a task force, a coronavirus task force. Mm-hmm. And they was in control of it. He's telling us to shut down schools, telling us not to have Thanksgiving, give up on, wear 2 masks. He's having the CDC director say wear goggles. When he was questioned about this in the January of the pandemic, he said it's not going to be a problem here. When people said, should we wear masks? He said, masks give you a false sense of security. Mm-hmm. Next thing you know, of course you should wear masks. Remember it was the pandemic of the unvaccinated? Mm-hmm. Anthony Fauci has a video of follies that he doesn't want to own up to. And that's why it drives people, that's why he's such a polarizing figure.
This is also part of his farewell message that he delivered a short time ago on political divisions. Listen.
When I see people in this country, because of the divisiveness in our country, of not getting vaccinated for reasons that have nothing to do with public health, but have to do because of divisiveness and ideological differences, as a physician, it pains me because I don't want to see anybody get infected.
Brian.
Is he kidding? If you see his different demeanor with the different administrations, it was night and day. The first thing he did is want to get on television. The second thing he did is want to get on Democratic-oriented television. The first thing he said after Donald Trump left office is he did Rachel Maddow's show. And he said, I've been dying to do your show. They didn't want me to do your show. You're my favorite show. You don't love Rachel Maddow's show because she has a band at the end. You like Rachel Maddow because she's a Democratic person, great, very talented, but she's a left-wing personality, opinion-oriented host. And if you want to get on that show, you immediately saw your colors. You saw that when there was misinformation coming out of the Biden White House, he let it fly. When there was misinformation that he thought was coming out of the Trump White House, when they were trying on the seat of their pants to figure out this pandemic that was coming from China, he was quick to go over to other outlets and talk about basically how unqualified the president was and to contradict the president. I saw a big political guy who came off as somebody who was apolitical. Mm-hmm. That's what bothers me most. How many times he was wrong and never owned up to it? How many lives, how many kids were kept out of school? Mm-hmm. How many lives were changed? How many relatives never saw the rest of their kin because he saw it would be better them not to, when he actually could never even go over where this thing came from.
All right, so good to get your take on this. Real quickly, this is also Fauci a short time ago on misinformation. Brian, listen.
You remember, if you were around, that at this podium I contradicted those, which set off a whole series of things in my life. The people who have correct information, who take science seriously, who don't have strange way out theories about things, but who base what they say on evidence and data, need to speak up more.
But we've already learned that a whole lot of the decisions and a lot of life that we've lived the past couple of years, as we are now seeing with school kids, was not based on the science. Everybody listening to that says, sure, of course, base all your decisions on science. The trouble is that wasn't exactly the case always.
Absolutely infuriating to see that. No repentance. He comes off holier than now. He's incapable of looking in the mirror and saying how many times I was wrong. Remember he told us to wear masks outside? He's got 12-year-old kids playing sports with wearing masks. Then we later finds out you cannot pass this virus outside. You don't need to wear a mask. How many things he said were flat out wrong and were life-altering for people of all ages and all families. And he sits up there and says, it's too bad some people are too political to listen to me.
I was going to pop John up so you can jump into the conversation here, but it was something. That was his final moment at the podium there, John. A farewell from Dr. Fauci.
It was, and it was a perfectly legitimate question that correspondent was asking, in the way that Karine Jean-Pierre went out of her way to run
I'm done,
interference.
she said.
I'm done. I mean, you're done with what? A perfectly legitimate question that
I didn't mean to not say goodbye
to
Brian. I thought we could pop us all up. But hey, Brian, thank you very much.
There he is. He's back.
And happy Thanksgiving to you, sir.
I'll see you on the 5.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.